Okay, so today we are going to make our first official video for polygamy in the Bible. And this is the first official video of Reproof. I just want to thank everybody that has been patiently waiting for this, everyone that's interested in this topic. And also just want to make clear that this is me standing on the truth. This isn't David's understanding of the truth. This isn't David's own idea. This isn't David doing this for some other reason other than it is the truth of God. And so, it's actually very dangerous, those who are rejecting this truth, and they are in danger, according to the scriptures. And there's only one way to worship God, and that is in spirit and in truth. And just like as Christ said, if we're truly born of Him, we shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. So without further ado, we're going to keep it moving. All right. So the question is today is, are we willing to stand in the fire with God? Are we willing to be tried by the fire with God? Okay. And, standing on the rock, standing on the truth, just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego here, and God was with them in the fire. How important truth is to God is we go to 2 Thessalonians 2, 9 and 10. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth. Oh, praise God, the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Okay? So, God, through the scriptures stating his laws slash commands, does not condemn polygyny, which is one man and multiple wives in marriage, aka polygamy. Rather, makes righteous and holy provision for it. Okay, so we're not talking about a woman with many husbands. Okay, just want to make that clear right off jump. All right, he has made incest sin, which at one point was permitted, equals no comparison. So today we're not comparing apples and oranges. We're not comparing oranges and tomatoes. All right, jumping right into 1 Corinthians 7, 1 through 5. Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman, nevertheless to avoid fornication. Let every man have his own, hereto, wife, and let every woman have her own, idios, husband. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife hath not power over her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband hath not power over his own body, but the wife. Defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. Okay, so this is speaking about sexual intimacy, and that the wife, she doesn't have the power over her own body, but the husband, and the husband doesn't have power over his own body, but the wife, not to defraud each other when it comes to sexual intimacy, other except it be with consent. Here too refers to a person, themselves, or something belonging exclusively to oneself. It is almost always translated himself, themselves, or similarly. For instance, my own hereto leg, my own hereto watch. Idios means pertaining to oneself, but not necessarily belonging exclusively to oneself. For instance, in Luke 2:3, we are told everyone went to his own, idios, city to be taxed. The city did not belong exclusively to the person, but rather many people were associated with that city, and each may call it my own, idios, city. However, each person was only associated with one city. So the Greek word for own, okay, Paul used two different words, okay, all right, and that's scripture. So every man is to have his own hereto wife who belongs to him exclusively, and each woman is to have her own idios husband, who is the only husband she has, but whom she does not have exclusive possession of, and may also be the husband of other women. The husband may say, that is my own hereto wife, she belongs to me and me alone. The wife may say, that is my own idios husband, and I belong to him and him alone. In the Greek, this verse actually shows very strong New Testament support for polygyny. Why would Paul very specifically use these two different words for own that perfectly describe the relationship between men and women in polygyny if he did not intend to allow for polygyny? Also, interestingly, the word wife, gune, is translated as wives, plural, in the same chapter at 1 Corinthians 7:29, as well as these scriptures, Matthew 19:8, Acts 21:5, Ephesians 5:22, 24, 25, 28, Colossians 3:19, 1 Timothy 3:11, 1 Peter 3:1. You can screenshot, pause it, go check. Okay, and if Paul is specifically allowing for polygyny in this passage, then he is proposing that polygyny, like monogamy, is a solution to avoid fornication. Okay, so according to this verse, polygyny is not fornication, it is actually a wholesome solution to avoid fornication. All right, we're going to get right into verse 5. Defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. So the issue here is defrauding that Satan will not tempt the married. Is an unbelieving spouse going to fast and pray? How would this apply to the unbelieving spouse? So can each situation be different? Absolutely. Who says this can't apply to a husband and each of his own wives? Or just him having consensual, non-intimacy with just one or all of his wives for a time of fasting and prayer? Either way, just like Genesis 2:24, they shall be one flesh. Remember, you need at least one man and one woman for marriage. Anyway, was Genesis 2:24 ever used against any man of God who had a plural marriage? Never. The answer is never. Incontinency, lack of self-control. Acrasia, without control. 1 Corinthians 7:5. It evidently refers to lack of control in a particular matter and signifies unchastity. In Matthew 23:25, the Greek word is translated in the King James Version by excess. Incapacity to hold, hence incapacity to hold back or restrain the quality or state of being incontinent, want of continence, failure to restrain the passions or appetites, indulgence of lust, lewdness. Satan may tempt a wife in many different ways for a lack of self-control. For a monogamous or polygamous marriage, he may tempt the wife to commit an act of fornication, porneia, sexual immorality, which includes adultery. Okay, homosexual. That's the word for fornication, porneia, which equals sexual immorality. All right, it's a Greek word. Okay, so which includes adultery, homosexuality, even bestiality, to watch pornography if the husband is defrauding a wife. And also in 1 Corinthians 7:15, Paul does not refer to how many wives a man can have. Satan may tempt the husband with fornication, to watch pornography, even homosexuality, bestiality. Satan may tempt the husband to rape his wives. Again, porneia, sexual immorality. It means immoral sexual conduct. To commit fornication with another woman, becoming one flesh with even a harlot. Paul understood the two shall be one flesh, same with the whole nation of Israel. Also, let's be clear, the husband may not want to take another wife in general. You know, the argument has kind of been, oh, well, he can just either get another wife or has another wife to release his frustration, the sexual frustration, they'll say, the lack of control, right? The husband may not want to take another wife because he cannot provide and does not want to make that commitment. We all know not everyone wants to do that, obviously. 1 Corinthians 7:10-13. And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. Let not the wife depart from her husband, but and if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband. And let not the husband put away his wife. That's it for the husband. You can go on to verse 12. It gets into unbelieving spouse. You see, in 1 Corinthians 7:10 and 11, he does not state that a husband has to remain unmarried. A wife is told to remain unmarried. And if she departs, to be reconciled to her husband, as long as she didn't get remarried and divorced per Deuteronomy 24:1-4. All right. Paul did not state the husband had to remain unmarried. If you assume this, you have a problem with inferring into the scriptures. In matters of divorce and remarriage, it is Paul's pattern of writing in 1 Corinthians 7:10 to apply something to both the wife and the husband. The wife is commanded by the Lord to not depart from her husband, and if she departs, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled unto her husband. But in the same scripture, the husband is told not to put away his wife. Notice, the husband is not told to remain unmarried. Only the wife is told to remain unmarried, and that she cannot be joined to another as long as her husband lives. That's in 1 Corinthians 7:39. So we see the husband is not commanded the same from the Lord and does not have to remain unmarried, and potentially could marry another wife, and the departed wife could be reconciled back to him as long as in line with Deuteronomy 24, 1 through 4. All right, Deuteronomy 21, 15, 17. So you can go and read what Deuteronomy 24, 1 through 4 says. All right, 21, 15, 17. If a man have two wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son be hers, that was hated, then it shall be when he maketh his sons to inherit that which he hath, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn. But he shall acknowledge the son of the hated for the firstborn, by giving him a double portion of all that he hath, for he is the beginning of his strength, the right of the firstborn is his. All right, so the question's kind of been, well, if a man's polygamous, he has other wives that he can, this incontinency, how does he have a lack of self-control? If he can't control himself, with one wife, he can just run to the other wife. Well, that's not always the case at all. I'm not a polygamous man, but I had to put myself in their shoes to try to, get the answers for this, which is always an answer. Everything, the Word of God doesn't contradict itself. But anyway, okay, so for instance, all wives are defrauding him. So Satan tempts him, to go out and get another, to fornicate with another woman, to get a harlot even. So one wife who is beloved, he wants to have sex with, is defrauding him. And the other wife is not as beloved in his eyes, as we just shown in Deuteronomy 21, that, one wife is beloved, the other's hated. Not to say to hate your wife, but I'm just saying, we do know that one could be more beloved. And look, as in his eyes, as he does not get aroused by this other wife anymore. And so Satan tempts fornication with another woman, even a harlot, pornography, okay, etc. All right, we'll say another situation. One wife is defrauding him and the other is not around. So Satan tempts to fornicate with another woman, harlot, pornography, okay? This is simple. One wife is defrauding him and he gets tempted to rape her. Porneia equals sexual immorality. Because he wants that specific wife due to her beauty, and his intimacy might be better with her than with the other wife. So he wants that, all right? Or one wife is unable to have sex for any type of health reasons. The other is defrauding him, so Satan tempts to fornicate with another woman or harlot, pornography, etc. Some more examples. This could go all day. The wife who is defrauding him is younger and more beautiful in the husband's eyes, and the husband wants intimacy with the younger wife, so Satan tempts with another younger, beautiful woman or harlot. Here's a situation. Imagine a husband and just one of his wives are visiting the wife's family in another state or country for a good while, and the other wife is back home. The wife defrauds her husband that, while they're visiting on the trip, he can't get to his other wife, and Satan tempts fornication, to go get another woman to relieve his sexual frustration, masturbation, while watching pornography, The situations are endless, okay? All right, we can get into many. So there's your answers. That answers all the question very simply. In a monogamous marriage situation where you have a believer and an unbeliever that consent to defraud each other for a time, there would only be one spouse who was actually giving themselves to fasting and prayer, wouldn't there? Because the unbelieving isn't going to do that. Okay, so in a plural marriage, could this be the same for just one wife fasting and praying while the husband still fulfills his marriage duties to his other wives, meaning just one wife is fasting and praying? Or in a plural marriage, could a husband and one of his wives be defrauding each other with consent while both are fasting and praying, but the husband is still fulfilling his marriage duties to his other wives, his sexual intimacy? Defrauding means that Satan can tempt. By the way, in my studies, the word fasting was not found in any of the primary manuscripts and was a interpolation. So it was added later, and and that was in the Greek aleph, which was they say one of the most originals and authentic. So